Hey everybody, Big Daddy Bigz here. This is Through the Bible in a Year with Big Daddy Bigz. Today is January the 27th, and our scriptures for today are Leviticus chapters 15, 16, 17, and 18. And we are reading from the Tree of Life version of the Bible. If you would like to get a copy of this particular version of the Bible and read along with me as we do this every day, click the link below this video on the website productreviewdude.com, and you can receive your version, your Tree of Life version of the Bible. And without any further ado, first of all, give us a thumbs up. If you like my videos, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and comment, say howdy to me, and share the video. If it's a blessing to you, maybe it'll be a blessing to someone else. And without any further ado, let's get started. Purification from discharges. Adonai spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel, and tell them, when any man has a fluid discharge from his body, because of his discharge he is unclean. This is to be his uncleanness in his discharge. Whether his body flows with this discharge, or his body obstructs his discharge, it is his uncleanness. Every bed on which he who has the discharge lies will become unclean, and everything he sits on will be unclean. Whoever touches his bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Whoever sits on anything on which the man has the discharge sat is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Whoever touches the body of the one who has the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Or if the one who has the discharge spits on someone who is clean, then he also is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Any saddle the one who has the discharge rides on will be unclean. Whoever touches anything that was under him will be unclean until the evening. Whoever carries them is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Also, anyone the person with the discharge touches without rinsing his hands in water shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. A clay pot that one with the discharge touches shall be broken, and every wooden vessel shall be rinsed in water. When the one who has a fluid discharge is cleansed of his issue, then he is to count for himself 7 days for his purification and wash his clothes. Then he is to bathe his body in running water, and he will be clean. On the 8th day he is to take 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, and come before Adonai at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and give them to the Kohen. The Kohen is to offer them, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. So the Kohen shall make atonement for him before Adonai for his fluid discharge. If any man has an emission of semen, then he is to bathe his whole body in water and be unclean until the evening. Every garment and all leather with semen on it are to be washed with water and will be unclean until the evening. If a man lies with a woman and there is an emission of semen, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. If a woman has a discharge, and her discharge from her body is blood, she shall be in her nidah 7 days, and whoever touches her will be unclean until the evening. Everything that she lies on in her nidah will become unclean. Also, everything that she sits on will become unclean. Whoever touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. Whoever touches anything that she sits on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. If it is on the bed or on anything where she sits, when he touches it, he will be unclean until the evening. If any man lies with her so that her nidah gets on him, he will be unclean for 7 days, and every bed where he lies will be unclean. Now, if a woman has a discharge of her body for many days, not during her nidah, or if she has a discharge beyond the time of her nidah, all the days of the discharge of her uncleanness shall be as in the days of her nidah. She is unclean. Every bed where she lies all the days of her discharge will be like her bed during her nidah, and everything she sits on will become unclean like the uncleanness of her nidah. Whoever touches these things will become unclean, and is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. But if she is cleansed of her discharge, then she is to count off 7 days for herself, and after that she will be clean. On the 8th day she is to take 2 turtle doves and 2 pigeons and bring them to the Kohen at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The Kohen is to offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. So the Kohen will make atonement for her before Adonai for the uncleanness of her discharge. You are to keep Bnei Yisrael separate from their uncleanness, so they will not die in their uncleanness by defiling my tabernacle that is in their midst. This is the Torah for one who has a discharge, or for one who has an emission of semen, which causes him to become unclean, as well as for her who has her period of nidah, and for the man or woman who has a discharge, or the one who lies with her who is unclean. Leviticus 16. Then Adonai spoke to Moses after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron, when they approached the presence of Adonai and died. Adonai said to Moses, "Tell Aaron your brother not to come at just any time into the holiest place behind the curtain, before the atonement cover, which is on the ark, so that he would not die. For I will be appearing in the cloud over the atonement cover." Yom Kippur service. In this way shall Aaron come into the sanctuary with a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He is to put on the holy linen garment, have the linen undergarments on his body, put on the linen sash, and wear the linen turban. They are the holy garments. He shall bathe his body in water and put them on. Then he is to take from the congregation of Bnei Yisrael 2 he-goats for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Then Aaron is to offer the bull for the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and his house. Then he is to take the 2 goats and present them before Adonai at the presence of the tent of meeting. Aaron will then cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Adonai and the other lot for the scapegoat. Aaron is to present the goat on which the lot for Adonai fell, and make it a sin offering. But the goat upon which the lot for the scapegoat fell is to be presented alive before Adonai, to make atonement upon it by sending it away as the scapegoat into the wilderness. Also, Aaron is to present the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and so make atonement for himself and his house. He is to slaughter the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself. He is to take a fire pan full of coals of fire from off the altar before Adonai, plus 2 handfuls of sweet powdered incense, and bring it within the curtain. Then he is to put the incense on the fire before Adonai, so that the cloud of the incense may cover the atonement cover that is on the ark, so that he would not die. He is to take some of the blood of the bull and sprinkle it with his finger on the atonement cover on the east side. Before the atonement cover, he is to sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. He is to slaughter the goat of the sin offering which is for the people, bring its blood behind the curtain, and do with it as he did with the blood of the bull. Sprinkle it upon the atonement cover and before the atonement cover. So he is to make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of Bnei Israel and because of their transgressions, all their sins. He is to do the same for the tent of meeting which dwells with them in the midst of their impurities. No one is to be in the tent of meeting when he enters to make atonement in the holy place until he comes out and has made atonement for himself and for his household and for all the assembly of Israel. When he is to go out to the altar that is before Adonai and make atonement for it, he is to take some of the bull's blood and some of the goat's blood and dab it around on the horns of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times and cleanse it and consecrate it from the cleanness of Bnei Israel. When he has finished atoning for the holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, then he is to present the live goat. Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat, and confess over it all the iniquities of Bnei Israel, and all their transgressions, all their sins. He should place them on the head of the goat, and send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a man who is in readiness. The goat will carry all their iniquities by itself into a solitary land, and he is to leave the goat in the wilderness. Then Aaron is to come into the tent of meeting and take off the linen garments that he put on there when he went into the holy place, and leave them there. He is to bathe himself with water in a holy place, put on his garments, and come out to offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, to make atonement for himself and for the people. Then he is to burn up fat of the sin offering and smoke on the altar. The man who leaves the goat as a scapegoat is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Afterward he may come into the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement for in the holy place, shall be carried outside the camp, and their hides, their flesh, and their dung burned with fire. The one who burns them is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Then afterward he may come into the camp. It is to be a statute to you forever, that in the 7th month, on the 7th day of the month, you are to afflict your souls and do no kind of work, both the native born and the outsider dwelling with you. For on this day atonement will be made for you to cleanse you from all your sins. You will be clean before Adonai. It is a Shabbat of solemn rest to you, and you are to afflict your souls. It is a statute forever. The Cohen who is anointed and who is consecrated to be Cohen in his father's place will make the atonement and put the linen garments, put on the linen garments, the holy garments. He is to make atonement for the holy sanctuary, for the tent of meeting, for the altar, for the Kohanim, and for all the people of the assembly. This will be an everlasting statute for you, to make atonement for Bnei Israel once in the year because of all their sins. It was done as Adonai commanded Moses. Leviticus chapter 17. Sacrifice of life in blood. Then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all Bnei Israel, and say to them, This is the word which Adonai has commanded. Anyone from the house of Israel who slaughters a bull, a lamb, or a goat in the camp or outside the camp, but has not brought it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to offer it as a sacrifice to Adonai before the temple, let blood guilt be charged to that man. He has shed blood. That man is to be cut off from among his people. Thus Bnei Israel may bring their sacrifices that they were making in the open field to Adonai at the presence of the tent of meeting to the Cohen, and offer them as sacrifices of fellowship offerings to Adonai. The Cohen is to sprinkle the blood on the altar of Adonai at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and burn up the fat as smoke for a soothing aroma to Adonai. They are no longer to offer their sacrifices to the goat demons, after which they play the prostitute. This will be a statute forever to them throughout their generations. Then you are to say to them, anyone from the house of Israel or from the outsiders dwelling among them who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice, but does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to sacrifice it to Adonai, is to be cut off from his people. Anyone from the house of Israel or from the outsiders dwelling among them who eats any kind of blood, I will set my face against that soul, the one who eats blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to make atonement for your lives. For it is the blood that makes atonement because of the life. Therefore I have said to Bani Israel, no person among you may eat blood, nor may any outsider dwelling among you eat blood. Any person from Bani Israel or from the outsiders dwelling among them who hunts as game any animal or bird that may be eaten must drain its blood and cover it with dust. For the life of every creature is its blood is in its life. Therefore I said to Bani Israel, you are not to eat the blood of any kind of creature, for the life of every creature is its blood. Whoever eats it is to be cut off. Everyone who eats what dies naturally or is torn by animals, whether he is native born or a foreigner, is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until the evening, then he will be clean. But if he does not wash them or bathe his body, then he will bear his iniquity. Leviticus chapter 18. Adonai said to Moses, speak to Bani Israel and say to them, I am Adonai your God. You are not to act as they do in the land of Egypt, where you used to live, nor are you to act as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you, nor are you to walk in their customs. You are to obey my ordinances and keep my statutes and walk in them. I am Adonai your God. So you are to keep my statutes and my ordinances. The one who does them will live by them. I am Adonai. Incest forbidden. None of you is to come near anyone who is his close relatives to uncover their nakedness. I am Adonai. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your father or your mother. She is your mother. You should not uncover her nakedness. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your father's wife, for it is your father's nakedness. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your son's daughter, or of your daughter's daughter, for their sin, for theirs is your own nakedness. You are not to uncover the nakedness of the daughter of your father's wife, conceived by your father, since she is your sister. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your father's sister, for she is your father's direct relative. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's direct relative. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your father's brother by approaching his wife, for she is your aunt. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law, for she is your son's wife. You are not to uncover her nakedness. You are not to uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife, because that is your brother's nakedness. You are not to uncover the nakedness of both a woman and her daughter. You are not to take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are direct relatives. That is wickedness. You are not to marry your wife's sister to be a rival, uncovering her nakedness while her sister is still alive. Other forbidden relations. You are not to approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in impurity of her nidah. You are not to lie sexually with your neighbor's wife and defile yourself with her. You are not to give any of your children in sacrifice to Molech, and defile the name of your God. I am Adonai. You are not to lie with a man as with a woman. That is an abomination. You are not to lie with any animal to defile yourself with it, nor is any woman to give herself to an animal to lie down with it. That is perversion. Do not defile yourselves in any of these things, for in all of these ways the nations which I am casting out before you were defiled. The land has become defiled, so I will punish its iniquity, and the land will vomit out its inhabitants. You, however, are to keep my statutes and my ordinances, and do none of these abominations, neither the native born nor the outsider dwelling among you, for all these abominations were done by the men of the land who were before you, and the land became defiled. If you defile it, the land will vomit you out, as it vomited out the nation that was before you. For whoever does any of these detestable things, the souls that do them are to be cut off from the midst of their people. Therefore, you are to keep my charge, so that you do not practice any of these detestable customs that were practiced before you, so that you do not defile yourselves by them. I am Adonai, your God. Y'all have a great day. Like and share the video. And come back tomorrow. We'll have more. I love you. God loves you. Have a blessed day.